Notes for two. 1, 1, oh no, oh no, oh no, on, oh, oh no, 1, oh no, oh no, oh no, on, oh, 1, oh no, oh no, on, oh, oh no, oh no, on, oh no, oh no. No two is a number two. 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 To tell, to Lawrence, tomorrow, to Ra, to Tim, to Ken, to U, tobacco, tomato, to Aster, to Uth, to Ska, to P, to S, to Sh, to U, to U. Tu begin lundi, tu continues mardi, tu do mercredi, tu sustain jeudi, tu end vendredi, tu enjoy samedi, tu restes dimanche, toujours.
Well, hi everyone. We're very happy to have this new session of Language is a Virus with our dearest friend, Cia Rinne, from lots of countries. She doesn't belong to just one country, to just one language. And precisely that is one of the reasons that we wanted to invite you here. We admire very much your work in poetry, visual poetry, sound poetry, and all those combinations, and also with different languages, different materials. So welcome to this conversation and show us whatever you want us to see.
Reste, le reste. Ma con brio, dolce, sereno, animato, grazioso, glissando, incazzando, vivacissimo, appassionato, staccatissimo, in pensierito, teneramente, stringendo, slentando, ritenuto, calando, svive piano, poco più di voi.
In the meantime, if you want, we can start some questions. I know that
please go ahead.
Friends of you here, maybe they want to comment something about your work, about the collaborations with other poets, musicians, and artists.
Mm-hmm.
Something that at least in, for example, lots of us know very much Adachi Tomomi's work here, and I would like to ask you about that collaboration, because your work, at least as first view, are very different. I mean, he does work a lot with noise and with very fast movements, and you use other elements. So how has the collaboration been with him or with other artists that may have like very different aesthetics?
Yeah. Well, I learned so much from Tomomi. We started collaborating, I think, in 2011, about when he asked me. This Jennifer Walsh actually she was in Berlin at the time too, and we had some different things where we were made to make headstands and of course also improvise, but not improvise. With him, it's not improvising. We actually have scores of Dada scores or his own song scores or pieces that way. I can show some work later, but I'm not really scared of showing anything because we might again start with something. And our own pieces, and he's extremely precise because he's a composer.
Yeah.
So everything has to be very, so he was very strict with me, which was fun because I'm not, you know, when you read yourself, you can always improvise, or it's not completely
fix it.
Yeah, you know, fix. It can be very different every time. Although when I have a piece and I start reading it more and more often, it usually gets some sort of rhythm or musicality, and I try to read it in almost the same way every time that I perform. When you're together on stage, and of course that's different. And I really like collaborating with him because he's, as silly as the pieces might be, and it's really stupid, and there's a lot of humor in them, and still it's so strict, and he gets really annoyed if something is not perfect. It's like, okay, we're just like using all our energy on all these little details, but it has to be perfect. And he's a perfectionist in that sense, which is great. So we have a lot of fun together.
Yeah, but that's funny because usually one could think that making noise or that kind of stuff is only spontaneous and just do whatever, and not. I mean, there's a whole lot of preparation, and as you said, like an score. I don't know if it's written or it's in his mind, but it's funny to think of that in that way.
Yeah. I think I've seldom felt as lost as when I was on stage with 4 male performers who are all like these very loud sound performance artists, and like Jaap Blanc and Enrico Nordahl and Levi Lehto, who's no longer with us. And that was in Finland. I felt totally lost because they were all shouting like, you know, I'm very precise in my things and very quick and very fast, but that's it. But it's always like with a script, and it's rehearsed, and it's but these improvisations with these loud people, I'm like, okay, wow, this is not me. So it's totally different. And we don't do such things. We do a little bit. We did that in March. I mean, a lot of things. I also choreographed readings, which is really fun, where you use the scores as sort of scores for choreography, that you make some yoga poses that were not very easy to do, things like that, based on Rudolf Riefeld's works. That's one video I could show you if you like.
I'm just downloading the PDF, by the way, so it arrived.
Don't worry about the PDF. I can just like that. Like we want to spend all our time with such things. It's not. Okay, now that we have talked about Tomomi, I could actually show you our collaboration, if you like.
Great.
Let's see if I'm sure it works. No, hang on. Do you see it?
Yes.
Oh, no. Yes. Okay. Wow. There's some progress here. So this was last year, and we only had Rudolf Rehfeld. I don't know if you know her. She became very famous when she was exhibiting at the Documenta, because she's from East Berlin, and she was in contact with all sorts of male artists all over the world. It's quite extraordinary. There's a whole archive in this Kirk Lüde gallery in Berlin is re-archiving all of her works and all of the correspondence that she had with everybody around the world. It's very seldom, because it was rare for somebody living in East Germany to be that connected with her husband too. And her works always written on typewriter, and she would use different typewriters. So there have been several exhibitions, and they're all like small typewriters with Japanese characters and all sorts of things that she then made these amazing works with. And it was an evening in her honor, so we used the works of her as scores. And this is one of the pieces that we made. I would like to open it before, but it's impossible. So,
Living, still living. 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 living, still living, 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 living, still living.
Such things, silly things, really.
Yeah, it's so uncommon to see people laughing in an experimental poetry performance. I mean, it's not, it doesn't occur so often, so it's great. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
really
Text. What was the text? I didn't understand the text really. You were talking.
It's Leben, still leben. Hello, it was the text.
Leben, still leben, or is it Leben, still liegen?
No, Leben,
Leben,
still
still
leben. It
Ah,
is
okay.
the title of Woodward Freefeld's work. So it's not still leben, but Leben, still leben. So we just
Okay.
use the title again and again.
Okay.
Like a living, still leben. And in fact, the audience was not laughing in the beginning because Woodward Freefeld was present in the audience and everybody was looking at her to wait for her reaction. And when she was laughing, when she was laughing, she really laughed.
They got relaxed.
Very funny.
Oh, wow.
And she started laughing. Everybody else felt okay, they can laugh too. But in the beginning, they were like, oh my God, what would she think? And also, we didn't know her. We didn't know whether they would understand the humor. You never know. You're using somebody else's work. She's a very established artist, an elderly woman, so you want to be nice to her, and we do these silly things. and she has such a great humor. So
but by the way, I would like
fine
to.
with it.
but it was really.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
No, please.
Yeah, no, I just had a question, which is really, I thought watching that and watching the earlier piece in French, it's like you're the way that you're using your body, it's like the body becomes typographic. Is that how you were thinking of it? It's like, so often you think about the body in a performance as something to do with the sound or making the sound, but the body in that seemed to be really visual and really related to the page. Is that how you were thinking of it, or was that did it just happen like that?
Yeah, probably in the video I'm more unconscious because that was my own work, but with Tomomi that was explicitly what we were trying to do. We were trying to re-establish the forms that are actually present in Woodward Freefeld's work. And then of course that we did that last year, and this year I did the video, so it's probably the continuation of what I learned from this. So you're trying to somehow re-establish whatever is in the text. I think when I had several ideas what I could do, and this is what I preferred the most in the video works, when the body becomes something abstract, like a black sign on the, but it's almost like text on a page, like a little black figure abstract in the white hall, in this white space. It's actually what I'm not, when you think about when you're on stage, people always look at you, or the author becomes like a personage, and you're so interested in that. And I'm a little bit against it because I think I'll just look at the work, and I'm not that important. What is in our time is not something that I'm actually trying to avoid, to be like connected. I'm not, and the work is not about me. It's so abstract. There's not even an I in it, and I think that goes for so much of minimalist or abstract poetry or concrete poetry. So in a way, this is
that kind of segues into something I observed I don't know if I can make this into a question, but you know, you were sort of railing against constraints at one point in what you said, and in terms of the performance, there's like more constraints, but in terms of your actual words, it's all open. It's like, is it this or 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 this? And it goes on and it opens up all these amazing doors. And so for me, there's this great dynamic going on there. Are you trying to push that?
No, probably not consciously. This is so, yeah, when you're writing, of course, when it's minimalist poetry, it's like, I'm not exactly sure who said that. Sorry, I don't get the name now, but the minimalist poetry is the most open. It's so open to interpretation. Whoever will look at it will understand something else. And this is something that I'm also, you know, I don't understand all of it because it can be seen in so many different ways, depending on which language you are in and which language you read and which symbols you can read, and so much semiotics. But for the constraints, that's really, I don't feel that I have constraints, but of course, I'm always, well, there's one thing that I'm imagining myself that I'm very neutral, which is of course an illusion because I'm not very neutral. I'm like not trying to tell people what to feel and what to think or how to, I'm not trying to interpret it myself. But of course, there's always like a slight, it's impossible to avoid that anyway. But that's probably these two things, to remain as neutral as possible. But then of course, there's always a subtle intention in it anyway that I can't avoid. You know, I'm not a computer, I'm not a machine. So.
Yeah. I like very much this piece with Adachi Tomomi because I mean it's very different from your different works. I mean it's like something that was created between you both, so it's very different. And I also wanted to ask you more about what you were telling about the humor and the reaction of the people, but because it's something that I really appreciate very much when you can mix experimental procedures with humor or with other kind of references. But also, I mean, I have had the experience to, I mean, playing something that for me was really funny, and people were just like crying, were very sad. Oh, this is so emotive. Well, I mean, or you can make a joke and no one laughs, or whatever. I mean, it's very open. So, how do you work with that in mind?
Yeah, you know, I think Hannah Arendt said when you make a work or you publish something, you put something out in the world, you can't control it. You don't. Yeah. You never know. You don't have you're not the master of it. And if you really, really want to impose a feeling or a reaction, then then you have to do something else than art. It's so depending on whatever your circumstances are and everything. It's impossible to control that. Yeah. So of course, I'm extremely happy if people get the humor, because I also think it's not the most clear humor. It's not the most not in the face or something like that. But if people understand it, that it's like it's strange or subtle things, and I'm very happy.
Your position is like very serious, or when you read, it's like very clear, and so that it's very nice, that contrast, I think.
Yes, that's the tradition of the Dadaists. I think you're very serious whatever you do it, but you don't take yourself seriously. It's somehow it's both. And also it's also, you know, the humor is there, but it's not the main issue. There's a lot of other things too. So I don't think it's a failure if people don't get it. There's so many other aspects too. So it's not like if it works, it works. If not, it's fine too. It's okay.
I have the PDF if you want us to see something specifically from it.
Yeah, maybe you can scroll down to the exhibition, because now I showed you the works that they're based on. Cia Rinne, notre solo et un usage du mot. And if you go down to, go down to.
Praise me, don't worry. It's full of other stuff.
Just read your email.
Yeah.
Okay, you can go. This is the first exhibition. I don't know what you saw from that before, but it was.
Here?
Yeah, now you can just continue, exactly.
Okay. Oh. And this is full of objects, right? Or
yes, found objects. That was what it was in the synagogue. with some texts also. It's very old. It's my first exhibition, and this was the first solo exhibition in Berlin. So those are really old works, but it's what I have now. In the end of it, there's some newer ones.
Okay.
Sound installations and a typewriter ribbon.
Yeah.
Things like this. It was in Berlin in the Green Museum. This is Seattle.
Yeah, this we saw.
Where you have the braille printing. Yeah. And the reading room installation, the literacy, the illiteracy, and the applied piece, where you cut out from books important versus destroy the book.
Yeah. So you put the cover of the book and down the pieces.
Exactly. You can see that in the next images.
Yeah.
All these, I think, yeah. So I cut them out. So there's some of the pieces that you can actually do, and I think there was another. I can't exactly remember, but sometimes you can do that. But some of them are like, you know, this. I think it already exists. You know, I usually have this idea of Thomas Schmidt. In a way, it always used the most minimum method. And I had this idea to make a map, a world map, and I switch all capitals. But I think it's already done, and so or similar works are done. So it's not necessary to do them, but sometimes it's just the idea is enough, and that's it.
And this is written in Braille?
Yeah.
Oh,
And
I
it
mean,
says,
the upper part of the page?
yes. I had this print, or how do you say it? Not really printed, well, printed probably, but I printed in a Braille print house in Germany, where all the people working there are blind.
Wow.
It's quite funny. So
and it's the same word, right? In Braille.
Yes. I also have it here, but my frame is too small, and I wanted them to be much larger, so I had them done there, and below it's with a typewriter with the same thing. And then you have a pointillisme, for example, where there's a lot of dots spread out, and picture is actually a hole, which is a mistake in Braille printing. They should not go through. This is an exhibition in Copenhagen. I think it's 2 years ago. Yeah, you can see them, but it's very difficult to have good images of those Braille prints. Yeah. You hardly see the shadows. But
there's a beautiful, maybe you know it, an anthology of concrete poetry in Braille.
Yes,
it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It makes perfect sense. It's just points and squares.
And you recognize them. I think it's published by Marco here in Berlin. You recognize Silencio, for example, by Silence. I don't know exactly about Odin, but you recognize the shape. That's exactly that. It makes so much sense because they're so well known in concrete poetry. You exactly know which one they are. And those are sentences. Actually, they haven't been exhibited that much, and this is in Visa Book, actually, where you were. There's an exhibition. And the sentences, I published them as a book, so I have it here. That was one of the books that took less time to do. It's just sentences. I could read from them if you like.
Yeah, because there's no photos of, oh, well.
I
remember this, this work.
It's the sentences talking themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
That's one part of the book, is this sentence. Would prefer to be in French or at least in British English, or the sentence refuses to be translated. This sentence hopes it can be erased again. This sentence feels misunderstood. This sentence wishes it were written by somebody else. This sentence would prefer to be an image. This sentence thinks it's very important. This sentence is a lifetime sentence. This sentence doesn't want to have anything to do with the previous sentence. This sentence should be avoided at all costs, and things like that. They're like this. And then there's a second part in the book, which is this sentence. That was a light installation in Berlin. I thought there's a projected the light, so I thought this a double sense.
Oh, and there it is.
Yes. La poesía completamente, exactly. It only makes sense in French, and it's by Orion Scoy. He had this as a title for one of his talks in Geneva. La poésie concrètement, and I thought this is genius. And then I developed it a little bit further with le vraiment, l'absolument, etc. So it wasn't. I think this is very hard to see, is it?
But
it says facture darum.
Yeah.
An invoice. It was an exhibition, an online exhibition about invoices. And it says for a week's business as usual, 9 to 5. It says Monday, 9 to 5 or 925, Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, and the sum of it all is 6,475. And it says Love Bank. That's it. Love Bank, I think, is John Cage, no? I was like make multiples for an exhibition. I thought, okay, you have to like something that can be sold. Actually, it's my first really product that can be sold actually in the world in an exhibition in Copenhagen. And I have made an extended version now for this year. This exhibition is right now in Kassel. It's called This Is It. It's one text by, so it's in my book, but it's about this is it, just it is, etc. And then that's it. So it's not only mine, I think the works by two others, Sveta Antonova and Angelika Jans as well. But it was only open for 3 days and it closed again. This is the most recent one. And the video is in there, and some by prints too. Yeah.
Oh, very.
That's from the dance, but I think you can.
Yeah.
We have seen the video, so it's fine. It's just pieces of images from it. Well, this is something completely different.
Yeah.
That work that's inspired because I was studying philosophy. If you want me to talk about it, I can, but it's only published in Danish, and it has nothing to do with poetry in a way. But it's a text for the stage. I can just say very quickly, it's about dualism. Okay, that is the octagon, which.
Well, but this is apart from the.
It's
next
part of that book. Yeah.
And this is a book on philosophy.
Yes.
Oh.
Anyway, it's based on Hans Jonas, a Jewish German philosopher who wrote the theory of a new ethics for the industrialized civilization. But I thought what was much more interesting was not how to deal with the situation, but why we ended up in the situation. And he was researching on Gnosticism and then found that there is a dualistic structure in the Occidental or in the Western philosophy that has shaped the way we think about nature and human being, and without we would not be in this situation probably if we had not thought that A cannot be A, or something cannot be A and not A at the same time, and then we always have like this either or structure from the very beginning. There's a monism that everything is life, and if it's not life, then it must be something else. And actually death did not exist in the beginning, it was a monism, so you had to avoid it somehow and find a solution. And then the first solution was this Orphic answer to this monistic problem. So a dualistic answer that in the Orphic, so for the body is the grave of the soul, and when you die, then the soul is freed. And letting with the Gnostics is the whole, it's like a pre-existentialist, so the whole world is turned into the grave of the soul. And you're thrown into this world, and it's created not by some God, but by the demiurge. So the human being feels estranged in this world. And this is the short history of either or. It's just that you can follow it from here. I think it starts from Platonism, where Heidegger thought that he was already part of this development that introduced the degradation of nature and an upgrading of human being, because Platon's theory of ideas, this is just one version of the ideal world. So everything is just.
But it reminds me a lot of, well, Martin knows it very well, those circles of Ramon Llull, a medieval philosopher, that it's very similar to this. He put like different letters according to the attributes of God, and you can combine them. I will see if I find them, and I'll show you.
I tried to unify all the different monotheists, putting the different concentric circles with the attributes of God. Then he proved that all the gods is the same in a way, and they can like addition to each other the good qualities of say, like it was his art general for all the science, to bring peace to the world in a way. And also it's like kind of mandalas, the mandalas routing.
So how is that some sort of eclectic religion.
Yeah.
you choose whatever you like, and maybe it was a good combination. I think they should really have learned a little bit, in other, or maybe not religion. Religion is so irrational, but in other ways of thinking or traditions of thought, you don't have no problem with paradox, for example. Western philosophy, no, paradox is like a no-go. I actually made a little contradictionnaire. I'm not sure you can see. This is the contradictionary. With it's a false. It does not exist. It's just like an imaginary book cover, which was also invitation for an exhibition. I think the first artist to do this was Mariana Castillo de Val, the Mexican artist, who asked several artists to produce such fictive book covers for books that they thought that should exist. And then I had this quote by George Brecht. So you have to remember that I'm on very good terms with paradox. Paradox is something very important for me, even though practically nobody up to modern times has challenged the Aristotelian premise that something cannot be A and not A at the same time. I'd say that something can not only be more than one thing at the same time, but that can even be its own opposite. It's George Brecht. And well, there's another quote by Jimmy Durham too. I do not personally have much to write about, not much to say, and have therefore bought some dictionaries. Yeah,
and by the way, Craig Dorking just published some months ago a book called Dictionary Poetics, something like that. And he studied lots of experimental books based around the dictionary. So you should send one to him. Yeah. By the way, here's the, I will show you the Ramon Llull work. It's like this.
Oh, wow, this looks great.
And there's like these diagrams and these circles, and in that way you can move them. There are like 3 concentric circles, and each letter is one attribute of God. So, well, he's like one of the predecessors of computers in a way. So.
Yeah, and he put some objects into his book. There's a book of 1,200 or something like that. It's before the printer time, and then you go to the library here in Paris, in Mazarin library, and they bring to you like with gloves that wonderful book, like it smell like magic, and you can turn the object. It's like a kind of pop-up book.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's amazing. Yeah, have to go all together once to that library.
Which library is that?
There is 2 wonderful libraries in Paris. They have that kind of books. It's Mazarin.
Okay.
It's in front of the Pont des Arts.
Okay.
And the other one is La Librairie de l'Arsenal. It's like it's the library of magician. All the magicians, they go there. It's in Bastille, all around them.
Okay.
The next time you come, so we'll go together.
Yeah.
We should organize a tour. Magical poetry tour. Well, do you have more comments to see? It's great to see. I mean, all the span of your work in books, in exhibitions, performances, recordings, and it's very. I mean, it's very fluid. The relationship. I think they are all very related between them. Anyone wants to comment?
Yeah. Also, I want to ask you, because you talk a little bit about the difference between improvisation and writer work, and what is the part of improvisation and what is the part of logical construct work before, also in your own work, like in collaboration, like can you talk a little bit more about it?
Well, I always had difficulties in the beginning with improvisation because I am not used to it really, but I think there's one piece that I actually like. Usually when I'm collaborating with performance artists, or that is with Tomomi, then we have rehearsals and scores, and it's usually other people's work. But now this year I wrote a little piece myself. I think it was This Is It, where you improvise. Because you don't know. Then that's only Tomomi and me who are on stage, and then we say this is it in different, all sorts of different ways, and you don't know where it's heading. And that's actually really, but it's very limited. It's only this one line. But otherwise, I think it has to be some. No, I'm not exactly sure, but I to me, it's more interesting when it's one certain idea, it's a condensed idea that not anything can happen, or that it's not like just, I don't know, shouting or anything. But it's a very condensed idea, and you have a sort of, anyway, a rhythm, and you can sort of expect that it will end, and does not just it's not just pure chaos, which is usually what can happen. And also with instrument, I think we had some sort of influence. I'm open to it completely when we do it together, but I would not do it myself. Like just by myself, that's not possible. I'm not exactly sure if I've done more improvisation. I have to like remember all of the performances that we've done. We have, of course, where we're reading, everybody's reading from a newspaper together. That's like 4 people with the Berlin Sound Poets Quartet, with Ernesto Estrella and Yelena. And then we have also been doing things like this. But it's a limited idea, then at least the idea is very clear. And then you improvise. So you have some sort of frame, but I think that's quite...
You never did something completely improvised?
Have I ever done something? I don't think so. No.
You want to try?
With the, no, I'm not really good at that. With the, well, that was really strange when we started with the dance piece, for example. There was a choreographer and a musician, and it was me. And she said, in the first meeting we had now to the musician and me, okay, you're a musician, you're a writer, improvise. What to do? What did you expect us to? What did you expect to happen? It was really strange. And but it's everything started from improvisation. That was a really like a tour de force for me, because we had nothing from the very beginning. We had some sort of text, and then we had a typewriter and some rhythm. You know, you start doing something like that. For me, it was really zero structure, and the improvisation is in a way also. Last year, an opera was premiered for which I wrote the libretto. And I had no other...
I wanted to ask you about the opera, because I remember when you were working around it, Helen. How did it go?
Well, it was beautiful. This is the book that was published. It's called Trial and Errors. I think you can say it's like that. So it's not Trial and Error, but Trial and Errors. And I used, because I only know that it had to be about the broken heart syndrome. So the fact that you can actually die from a broken heart physically. There's a lot of Greek mythology and the poetry. When they started writing, and Carsten writes, when people started writing, it was about love. It was love poetry. And so I used a lot of this Greek mythology. This is Kronos trying to cut the wings of Eros, or Ahmed, the little one. And I used a lot of this Greek mythology, which I think is completely, they knew everything already. You don't have to invent what you feel about love from the very beginning. It's so interesting. And philosophy. But there was no structure. It's also like complete, in that sense, very open. I had free hands to do whatever I wanted. And so I had to find a sort of structure. So I made 7 scenes, and very similar to the duologue about the dualism in Western philosophy, which was also published as a book, but only in Danish. I think it's called Shall We Blind Ourselves and Leave Thebes? That was for the Night of Philosophy. It was written for the Night of Philosophy in Berlin. And I had all the entities talking, because I think it's not interesting if there's people, but it's God, nature, Heidegger, Jonas, everybody had a voice. And this is very similar in that sense. There's Kronos and the judge, Hades, the heart, and the doctor, who all have voices, and all throughout the process of, I don't know, falling in love with all these great feelings, and then something happens, a person dies, and we go through, meet Hades, like death, and all these discussions between that, and then what happens afterwards. It's like this black, because somebody has died, and the doctor has to take care of that. So it's the heart talking, because the heart is actually, Eros is just in the background, but everybody is like in the hands of love, and it's built like that. So the entities have voices. It's like this. And then I had to, sorry.
How was the work with the music? I mean, the music was made before or after, or
afterwards?
After, okay.
It was made afterwards. It was Henrik Stenberg and Sofia Jernberg. Henrik Stenberg wrote most of it, and is a Swedish composer. And I had expected us to be collaborating, but in fact it was more like I delivered the text, and I knew that it would be we agreed on how many persons, how many figures you would have, characters, since it's these limited amount on stage. And then he wrote, and the music for that, and it was so amazing because he was so respectful for the text. He wanted everything to be there, and it's and in the languages. So most of it is in English because we performers were from everywhere. And the violinist, for example, was from Paris, it's Garth Knox. He came and had to talk himself too on stage. So all of the musicians were speaking as well and had roles. So he was time, chronos. And so those were the limits, you know, that I had some sort of restriction.
Great.
And then you have two people who are not on, they were not on stage, but it's Wagner and Adorno, because the opera was called Liebestod. So of course, it's not, that was not mine, because I call it a symposium trial and errors. It's more open, but if you use Liebestod, you're in the Wagnerian zone, and you can't avoid that. You have to think about Tristan and Isolde. So I thought, okay, now I need somebody to criticize a little bit this Wagner. So it's Wagner and Adorno who are talking about these things. And of course, Wagner is very self-absorbed and pathetic in a way, and Adorno is very critical. Yeah. So those are my two, like these two people from the Muppet Show who are like on stage and discussing. On stage it was different. It was solved in a very different way. That was really fun.
Great. Anyone has more comments, or maybe we can do what we usually do in the last part of our session. As I told you, we usually make some improvisation, but I was thinking that maybe we could do the improvisation around this text you sent me, la poésie concrètement, la poesía concretamente. Maybe we can make, I don't know, if you like to make some variations or whatever around it.
You tell me, because I can tell you the way I usually read it.
Yeah. Tell us, yeah.
But we can do it together.
Yeah.
No, you do whatever you like, but it's like le vraiment, la verdaderamente, l'absolument, el absolutamente, la logiquement, la logicamente.
Yeah.
See, there it is, yes.
Yeah.
I actually did not show you, or I can send it to you. You can listen to actually from L'usage des mots. There is a sound piece too, which I completely forgot to show you, which is called Le son du mot, Le son du mot. It's this double thing. But anyways, that's with music, and it's not yet published, so it's only the link. But we can read this.
Yeah,
you choose. I have I have it in English too, where it says it has the second part in English. So this is very different. But no.
We didn't tell you, but we have to be all naked before to make the improvisation. Then we have to make the
No problem. Really, go to the sauna.
No. I have to lose some weight before that, because this whole situation has been very hard on my body. So
with Felipe, we're like making like several physical exercise to this moment tonight.
Well, let's go.
Mon miente, mon miente.
La verdad miente. El absoluto
miente.
La lógica miente. La ética miente.
El juez miente.
Exactamente.
Miente.
Lo contrario.
Miente.
Lo infaliblemente.
La acústica, la clase,
Lo visible.
la alternativa miente.
La.
Miente.
La.
Miente.
La.
Miente.
El.
Miente.
La
Lo.
Miente.
miente.
El.
La clase miente.
La.
Miente.
El.
Miente.
La.
El pueblo miente.
El.
La técnica
La
miente.
táctica
Lo.
miente. El vano miente.
El.
Miente.
El
La.
infinito miente.
El.
El resumen
La.
miente. Para nada.
Lo. La.
Nada.
El.
La moral,
Lo.
El ruido,
La.
fluido,
lo
el
vano
humor miente.
La.
miente.
Lo.
Humor
El.
Exactement.
La.
Diable.
Lo.
Para nada.
El
Contrairement.
La
miente,
Exactement.
La
miente,
vraiment,
miente,
Infalliblemente.
miente,
éticamente.
le vrai,
miente,
le vrai,
Sommaire.
Le peuple miente.
Inexactamente.
Acústicamente.
absolutamente, lógicamente,
Le peuplement.
estéticamente, infaliblemente,
Posiblemente.
visiblemente,
Miente.
impensablemente, alternativamente, técnicamente,
L'impossiblement.
sensiblemente, moralmente,
rarement,
Absolument.
Acoustiquement.
le bruyement, le diablement, l'implacablement, l'annullement,
Miente.
Lo
Mom.
impecablemente. Para nada. Para nada. Para.
l'annullement,
Miente. 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 Mom miente. Jugement. L'internement. Le contrairement. Le infalliblement. Le visiblement. L'impensablement.
le bruyement,
L'acoustiquement. Le classement. L'alternativement. Le
le
peuplement.
diablement,
Uniquement. L'abruptement. L'égotistement. L'insensiblement. La fantastiquement. L'abattement. Le diable. La morale.
el absoluto, la lógica, la estética, el juez,
Le vrai ment,
exacto,
l'absolu ment, la logique ment, l'esthétique ment, le juge ment, l'exactement, le contrairement, l'infailliblement, le visiblement, l'impensablement, l'acoustiquement, l'acclassement, l'alternativement, le peuplement, la techniquement, le bruitement, l'égoïtement, insensiblement, le fanatiquement, l'avachement, le diablement, l'amoralement, l'aquatiquement, le futilement, l'infiniment, le sommairement, l'impeccablement, l'annulement. Mhm.
Ellington replied, I don't see how this thing called jazz takes precedence over me. And that attitude is pretty essentially while we appreciate and praise somebody else's conception, technically or that was totally different. But his son Richter didn't like the rules either, even the rules of nonconformity. What he did like was grace and civility, an unforced, unfeigned elegance that took everyone as they were and put them at their ease. Ellington found the epitome of those qualities in Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth. Meeting her during his tour of Britain in 1936,
Well, Cia, what is your last sentence?
Must be a sentence.
No, whatever you want to
This
say.
sentence does not apply to you. I don't know.
Well, I don't know if anyone has any another comments or question or cheers for Cia and for this wonderful opportunity to appreciate your work.
Just to say hi and thank you for showing your work. It's nice seeing you and nice seeing your vast work display and the different layers. So thank you so much. Yeah, wonderful to see you as always.
Thank you.
And you're gonna be tomorrow with Petronella, right? In a talk.
We did it today. This is why I'm totally exhausted. I'm sorry. We talked today with Mexico like a couple of hours ago. Yeah. She says hello to you. So. And we were speaking in Spanish only, but it was almost like the same. So I had to put on a different T-shirt, something they're not exactly the same day. You know, and for months you're alone, and then suddenly it's all in 2 days, and you're exactly the same. It's strange.
Yeah.
Strange, but yeah.
Yeah, thanks from my side also. It was really impressive to see all the works you did and the different kind of works. I was really impressed by the dance vocal things, very much like that kind of things. And yeah, also cheers from Frankfurt. I didn't know that you actually studied in Frankfurt, so we missed out somehow. I'm still living there.
Early
So,
90s.
yes.
Wow. But it was great studying in Frankfurt. I mean, studying philosophy there was amazing. Okay.
Well, yeah, thank you very, very much. It was
amor entre tus contactos. ¿A quién quieres llamar?
I don't know who is that, but well, was great seeing you again. And well, please join us in next session whenever you want to participate. You're always welcome.
I have a feeling I was very badly organized. I'm like showing you PDF.
No, the idea is,
I don't know what to do.
as
It's
Martin
much
says, this is like a weekly meeting in a bar. It's like hanging out with friends. Know what you're doing is this is the idea. So, and in fact, it started when we were all in our houses, and not any of us could go out. So we were very like desperate to seeing some other friends. So we started, and we have kept it going. That's the spirit. So thank you very, very much.
It's so beautiful that I don't know how to do it. You know, I started gardening and taking care of children. Like, I don't know how you find the time. It's amazing. This time I'm usually deep sleep, getting up too early in the morning always.
Yeah.
It's nice actually to meet. I didn't know, you know, I'm really reluctant to having machines in between me and other people, but this is really
yeah.
Wow.
Well,
Great.
see you all next week, and
yeah.
Have
who's our guest the next week? Is Adrian or?
I think so, right?
Let's check it.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Thank you.
Enjoyed.
Do you want to say?
Thank you, Cia. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Joaquin just discovered that the tripod in Delphi has 3 serpents around. I don't know if you want to say us something about that discovery that you make in this moment about the triple serpents
Right.
Delphi.
You discussed about Delphi tonight?
No, but why not?
I want to know what happened in Delphi. I've been there.
Well, I just discovered something because I'm studying some things about like old mythology and theology and trying to find out what was before and before and before. And the snake worship was everywhere. And I just discovered that the PT in Delphi, who was, you know, giving the pneuma with the breath of the spirit, and probably for all cases, you know, the roots of our poetry in some way. Well, PT comes from Piton. That means the Apollo temple was put there by Zeus as the center of the earth. And probably before that temple, some rituals were made, and was probably a snake worship there. So after that, we found out, like in Constantinople, that means Istanbul nowadays, there was like these tripod things with 3 headed serpents there that was made by the Greeks. But then all the PT from Delphi comes from Piton. And I was very surprised last week to discover this. And I was not confused. I was just excited and astonished. And we had this discussion with Martin about this. And I was like, wow, the snake worship was there too. Can you believe that the pneuma is coming from that too? That means the PT was replacing, because Apollo was killing the snake. So the whole Greek ritual was a replacement. And the whole beauty of it is there. So it's just very strange about this thing. And
what's this PT? What is that? What's that word?
PT. The Pythia or PT. She was this this
P-I-T-Y?
PT P-Y-T-H-Y-A or Pythia or PT.
Came from Piton, the serpent Piton, you know, the Piton.
So the PT she was giving oracles. I mean, people from everywhere were coming to see the PT, who was receiving the pneuma, breath out of the rock, actually. And actually the rock exists, and what we call the pneuma was some probably toxic gas, and she was completely stoned. And every time someone was coming, asking for a question. They were waiting for this breath from the rocks to come out. And so she got high and gave an oracle. So the whole thing with the PT coming from Python was completely astonishing, because I'm obsessed with the pneuma for 30 years, like Martin. And I was like, wow, it's coming from the snake worship, man. And let's see how it goes. And the whole story is fantastic anyway. Thanks for the question, Martin. You know, you can't ask me those kind of questions.
Why not? Dear darling. They were free space time.
It was the end, you know, we were closing.
No, we're open to the after hour now. After the show, we have the extended cachondeo, the backstage.
Philadelphia is a very special place. It's very, you know, for me, I love it. It's just like this, center of so many mysteries and knowledges, you know.
Yeah, Chris, he's connected with that, and you work in which library in Berbeck? I don't remember.
I was at SOAS for many years, but I'm not anymore. But yeah, I was in a library.
Yeah.
Speaking about dictionaries, I just want to throw this out. I was going to wait till the comments, and I'll send the link there. But there's a guy called Giles Goodlin who. And he wrote this great book called Gloss. Do you know it, Cia?
I think I have it, yeah.
Yeah, so basically it's this book where Giles works for the OED, and he's also a poet. So that's the Oxford English Dictionary, and he's also a poet. But basically in this book, it's a dictionary of words that don't exist, that he's made up, and each of them has 3 words to explain the word, and none of those words exist either.
Wow.
Okay, so the whole book is unexisting words, which he's now, you know, existed. And it's, if anything else, it's great to just hang around your house and you read like a couple of those lines a day or something, you know. Think about them. They're like little cones.
Oh, gloss already.
Please send a link somewhere.
Yeah, please put it in the...
I'll send it to the WhatsApp.
Yeah, great.
It seems to me that gloss already exists, no? It must be Greek, glossa, for the tongue. No? So you get probably hints to understand them.
The only word in the book that actually that existed before he wrote the book is the title. Yeah. It's just crazy, but he's a magnificent poet.
Well, I'll stop the recording right now. But as always, I'll keep the meeting open if you want to hang around or whatever. So,
I feel that we didn't talk very much.
Well,
we can now is the second part. I continue to record. Then if we want to know.
Yeah.
It's always like this. I feel like, yeah, okay. It's easier actually, because they're just showing work. You can do that always. I don't know.
Yeah, it's great how you manage the French. C'est super quand tu travailles en français.
Oui.
Tous tes poèmes en français sont super intéressants, quoi. C'est très. Je me reconnais parce que moi aussi français, c'est pas ma langue maternelle. Et
non, mais il est formidable pour faire de la poésie.
Quand tu travailles dans une langue qui n'est pas ta langue maternelle, tu as plus de liberté pour trouver des coupures phonétiques qui se font d'elles-mêmes ou des coupures grammatiques, tu vois.
Des symbioses. Where did you learn French, actually?
Well, at school, but I was in a Latin class. I learned it quite late. I was in school in Germany. And then I didn't talk it for many years until I started working in the Roma. And we wanted to go to Iran, but then they were always threatening with the war to find a Zarga in Tehran. So, and we had to find a plan B, but always when we travel to a country, then I would have to learn the language from scratch. And I thought, okay, let's go to a country where I already speak it at least a little bit. And then we thought, okay, let's go to France. And then you have the Gitan and it was before the mobile phones. So I had to go into this cell phone box or the box of telephone and call like institutions or human rights organizations who work with the Roma in France and explain everything. We're here to make a project on the Roma, blah, blah, blah. So it was like, that was my crash course to learn French. And then before that, it was really not very good. So it was really because of necessity. And then later, of course, and I was invited. Sorry. Oh, you were going to know, but
well, I loved it, and what Martin said is kind of right. And when I was listening, the pronunciation was not perfect, and it was absolutely perfect because in some sounds were different. You know what I mean? Some sounds were different that the French will use it, and then it was close to some other languages sounds, so those merging into just those little tones was very subtle, and I was thinking, wow, there is a complete world to dig in this really tone pronunciation, you know, this blurry thing that merged languages actually. But
nice side effect of not speaking a language perfectly. I have a feeling that when I speak Spanish, then it's always like Italian is battling, and then there's Portuguese battling from the side, and there's Romanian. They're all so interconnected, all of these Roman languages, that you don't, I'm like sliding from one to the other. And when you don't find a word in one language, because I don't speak, and you know, I don't speak them perfectly, then you're trying to find a word, and then it's like the closest. And Spanish, for example, is very close to Greek in the pronunciation, or somehow the rhythm, and from the vocabulary is completely different, but somehow they're always like knocking from the sides. And in French, it might be anything. You know, when I'm old, nobody will understand me. I sometimes fear that this is going to end in very, you know, when you have different languages messing with you. But French is so good because you probably know this. There's this anthologie de la poésie de l'humour noir. I think it's on André Breton. I can't exactly.
Anthologie la poésie de l'humour noir.
Oui, c'est ça. There's a poem by Georges Brisset. It says les dents de la bouche, les dents de la bouche, les dents de la bouche 14 times, and every time it's spelled in a different way. And this significance.
I want to tell you, I'm not really fanatic of Bernard Isaac, but it's a wonderful poem of him. It s'appelle Tu viens chérie. Tu viens chérie. Do you listen?
Mm-hmm.
Tu viens chérie. 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 Tu viens chérie.
Anyways, 15 minutes. The only say that say with that girl is Tu viens chérie. For me, it's the best poem of Bernard Isaac.
No, the other one is on erratum. You missed that one.
Yeah, of course. But anyway, that kind of language, that in each language you have different approach to the human being in a way, you know. In which each language, I'm so impressed because you know in Spanish you have two verbs for being. You have ser y estar, and in Russian you don't have it. You don't use being, you know. You say me Cia, me Martin, you know. It's like Tarzan, it's completely direct. I think it's the most close language to extraterrestrial communication in a way, or for insects, you know. But it's so wonderful because you have that kind of different approximation of the being in language, and that is for me is important. And I saw that is in your poetry that sometimes in French I saw that you approach to that kind of at the same time really playful and joyful and truth in a way, no? And that is why I asked you about the improvisation, because I don't know how you find those poems in French. Did you study French to make it, or just you playing with words?
Mm-hmm. I think it's a combination. I just find things, you know. Very often it's like something that already exists. Like this Je suis, I wrote that actually for. I had a performance in Paris just after the Charlie Hebdo shootings, and I thought it was the Je suis or everywhere, and I think Je suis. I think I didn't read it. It's Je suis. You know, it starts from some found words or found things, and then then they just stick to my mind, and I have to do something about them too. Alors, je suis perfectionniste, individualiste, universaliste, opportuniste, pessimiste, optimiste, realiste, artiste, triste. things like this. I think it's partly found things and then you develop them, and partly when I'm reading, I so like reading French books. I don't know exactly. It's like it has not been like that always, but now it's a little. It's become. I think there's some certain kind of humor that I really appreciate. In Emmanuel Locard, for example, it's amazing. It's philosophical and humoristic in the same time.
Which one?
Emmanuel Locard.
Emmanuel Locard.
Conditions de Lumière. And he has a beautiful book about elegies.
Okay.
Yes.
I think I haven't.
Has been translated into Spanish, a couple of his books.
Hortense, ça te plaît, Emmanuel Locard?
Oui, mais je connais pas si bien que ça.
Ouais, c'est marrant parce qu'Emmanuel Locard, il est plus connu à l'étranger qu'en France. C'est comme d'hab. Hein.
Mais les Swedish people know so well French poetry, and we don't and we are not in the other way. We don't know well Swedish poetry in France.
See, that might be true. I actually found Emmanuel Locard through a Swedish translation. It's true.
Yeah, so nice.
I think I have it here. Exactly.
And I so love the sound of the Swedish language.
Okay, wow.
Read it. Something in Swedish.
Something in Swedish?
Yeah.
Swedish. So I speak Swedish like it.
Improvise.
Privatdetektiven anlitas för att läsa eller klara upp skumraskaffärer, inte för att få dem att föreka sig. This is the way you speak in Finland. It's very much more, I don't know, it's a lot harder, I think.
No.
Vi serverar bara autentisk engelsk eller amerikansk whisky från före kriget. Oh, it's Un privé à tanger, translated into Swedish by OEI Editors, my first publisher. Un privé à tanger?
Oui, I know the text in French.
And then it's Maille, he has Maille, so different texts. They were really, really funny. But I mean, there's many, this was just one example, but through the translation I stumbled upon it. And Henri Chopin, I love, hang on, you probably know this publication.
Felipe, quizás para la edición podríamos poner esto al principio y después de conversar.
Pero estoy grabando todo, Martín, así que...
Sí, yo también. Sí.
Ya.
Le homard cosmographique et la crevette amoureuse is from 65 and 67 by edizione Morra, Napoli. And well, this is where he has l'insecte l'étrivore, and he has this whole theory about that at a certain time people were only speaking in numbers. So they were everybody, and the radio emissions were like pure avant-garde. I think it's, yeah. Le peuple est heureux. Exactly. Here it says, like, this is the way they were speaking. I'm not sure if you can see this, but here, maybe you know this, yeah. No? It's a whole theory about language, and he in the end of his life, he like resented completely using language, and he said, I will no longer use it because you're actually prisoners of language, like Roland Barthes says, you'll be prisonnier des mots d'autrui, and he did no longer want to use it, so he only used his microphone, put it into his body and things like this. But this is so amazing. When he used language, it was the best humor ever. And you can just laugh about like people are communicating only with the two letters U in the beginning, before, I think this is the stage before they then reject language, and then, or is it afterwards? Yeah. So they ask U, and then another person answers with U, and everybody is happy and everybody understands it, or nobody understands anything. It's like completely crazy. I love that.
Can you show the cover? I'm not sure I saw this one.
Well, it's a very old book, but he had an exhibition at the Portico.
La crevette amoureuse. Ah, yes.
Tu l'as, Joachim, celui-là?
Well,
no,
you know, it's the original from
Yeah,
68?
it's really rare in Paris. Joachim have all the Chopin, almost all of
No, I don't have them all, but yeah.
Oh, you have some. Oh. Yeah, I'm totally in love with that. I mean, this is one of the things that they had them when he had an exhibition in Supportico Lopez in Berlin a couple of years ago.
I have this one that I love, Les riches heures de l'alphabet.
With the Paul Sumter, yeah.
Jörg should see that, definitely. And he made that with a medieval specialist like Paul Zumthor.
Paul Sumter is great.
The whole book is fantastic.
Oh, amazing.
Yeah, have it with a dedicate.
Oh. Okay, see another
But-
one. Oh, wow.
There will be a release on my label of the last tape. He gave me 2 tapes, and one is released already on the CD for like 15 years, and the second tape was never released. And it will be probably next year with the A side will be Gaisin and Burroughs interviewed in like 61 or 62. And I will do like a split because I didn't know what to do with this tape. It's only 15 minutes long, and I'm not sure what to do with a single tape like this. But then we found out this interview recently, and it's a tape of this interview. It's Chopin who gave it to a friend in Paris. So he just told me that 2 months ago, and I was like, "Is that a joke?" You have an interview of Gaisin from 61. I said, okay, let's release it. And so with this tape from Chopin, which is an unreleased one. So I'm just, every time someone is talking about Henri Chopin, I'm just like, yes, go.
Oh, wow.
I have the same edition with a dedicate of him.
Oh.
I mean,
Lucky.
I don't know if you can yeah.
So you were not in Paris when your video was screened in Beaubourg?
No.
Oh, you were there?
No, I wasn't there. I had to choose between organizing to come and then risking not being able to come and having it completely annulé, or doing a video and not coming. So what do you choose? And I thought, okay, maybe we'll do something another time. No, I should have been twice in France this year, for residencies also, but no, or 3 times.
Yeah, it was in the middle of pandemic. We were with Joachim. We stayed there and we saw your video. That is why I recognized the video doesn't work.
Oh, you were in the Grand Salle. That's great.
Yeah, of course.
It was
good. Yeah, it was wonderful. It was a big screen with the video. It was really beautiful.
Oh.
Well, the room was packed. It was good. And it was. But we see you another time, maybe in Paris or somewhere.
Oh yes, and if you come to Berlin, you let me know. I hope to. That this will at some point be possible again.
Yeah. We organized the post-COVID tour, poetic tour, Marigal tour. Then we visit each other like once a week. We have a visit in Watch House, and here we organize things in
Martin wants to put a travel agency. That's the next project, but exclusively for poets.
We travel with Ether. Yeah, of course, and we will organize things like I think since the next summer or next springtime.
Are you guys still in total lockdown, like in Paris or Berlin?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
yes.
but
yes, in Paris for at least 10 days, 15, I don't know, but it's complete lockdown for.
Oh.
People are going nuts.
But I'm going to Chile. Prepare you.
Oof. And how are things in Berlin? Yeah,
They call it lockdown light. So it's the bars are closed and the restaurants are closed, and all the cultural institutions are closed. It actually hit the arts quite hard this time, and the shops are still open, and some serve outside, but the schools are open. So and they have a lot of infections in the schools right now. So it's
us too. Schools are open.
Ah, yeah.
I was supposed to be there now, but I had to cancel the trip. Obviously, it was impossible. I couldn't get the permit by the police, and everything was shut down. So it was done. There was no point. But yeah, maybe next year.
I think Uliana told me about this. She had invited you, no?
Oh yeah, well that thing was in January, but didn't work either. I was going this time for another thing, for the Latinale. So that is starting tomorrow actually. But yeah, Juliana had to cancel way before. I don't know, the university canceled that event. When was that? It was early, like in August or something. And it was supposed to be in January, so they were way ahead.
I think big institutions are more cautious. They have to be, so they cancel also.
Yeah,
We're supposed to have a reading. It was cancelled already in spring or something. I don't know.
That's right. Well, probably next year is going to be the same. Well, we'll see what happened with the vaccine, if it really works, and I don't know.
No, nobody knows.
Yeah,
that's for sure. Oh, yeah.
And I am sad because I tried to find the book you made to the Clou dans le fer, because I had it before, but
Send it to you. I have a whole box because they are different.
I had it, but it was my ex-husband who keep it. So I tried to find it just 1 hour before, and I said, "Oh, I don't have it. Oh, I'm so sad." But I remember when I read it.
Okay, yeah,
a long time ago.
It's possible they still have it in Marseille at the CPM. I'm not sure. With Michael Bataya, who's running it now. But no, I took some boxes with me when I was in Paris.
Yeah,
so
okay.
I can give it to you because the Air Diffusion no longer existed. This is
yeah, so nice. And it was 10 years ago, I think, no?
Come on, I think it was in 2011. Oh, that's
okay,
oh, yes. Oh, wow.
Okay.
Or 12. Something like that. I can't remember. I can't remember. Yeah.
It was a very nice edition house.
Yes. Yeah. They had
with a very beautiful book of Ramon Dax.
Ramon Dax, yes.
So nice books. I had it.
Tu as lu Ramon Dax, non?
Yeah? Si, j'ai le livre de Ramon Dax, ouais.
Oui. Ah, tu l'as pas édité en français, non?
Si.
Quoi? Il est assez spécial, Ramon.
Je ne connais pas vraiment. Je l'avais vu une fois, je crois.
Avec Felipe, on les connaît bien.
Okay.
He was the librarian, one of the librarians at my university in Barcelona. So I met him at the university library. No, but he's a good friend. But he's
He looks like very nice, but
and his work is really interesting. Really.
I think I met him at the Marché de la Poésie.
Oh.
If I remember. I'm looking for a festival too, but I can't remember. It was somewhere in the suburbs of Paris many years ago. I can't remember what kind of festival it was. It's very strange. It was somewhere far out. He was very nice. They also have other Amélie Van Zeppelin and Kavala. Really good editor.
The mystical stuff, yeah, but so like serious, like you have to publish me because if you don't publish me, you will be wrong and we will sad, and it's like really like you don't bring like joy. Ramon Dax, it's great, but he's sometimes a little bit serious about his like career. I don't know, but well, anyway.
Okay.
Maybe some time in your life it's like you're more accurate for something or not. But of course, he works a lot with Ramon Llull, ideas,
exactly,
Kabbalahs.
And I remember I had also the very nice review EOY.
Yeah, it's from, you can remember it. It's only the vocals of poésie.
Ah, mais oui. OAE. Okay. Yeah, it was very, very beautiful work, and so a lot of work of translation.
So did you see a review of OAE, of that magazine?
Yeah, it's a big review.
Oh yes. Oh, this is they're like they're like 2 kilos. They're very slim, and then they became like enormous, and they were too expensive to post, so people had to go and get them in Stockholm and things like this. They're really heavy. They're crazy to people.
Yeah.
They're actually the people who published my second book, is Notes for Solar Assistant Way Editor.
Okay.
They were the ones who said, like, oh, when you have the next book, then we'll publish it. And then
okay,
my own copy is completely destroyed. They're amazing. And they did so much for concrete or experimental poetry in Sweden, and translated all sorts. And those are the people. I think it was Jonas who translated Emanuel Oka. That's him.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, he speaks perfect French. So.
It was Jacques Sivan who speak me about this review and present the couple who work on it. I remember it was a nice meeting it was my first meet with Swedish people.
And you met workaholics. This is they're really working a lot. I mean,
yeah.
This is not nice to say, but they visited us when I was living in Finland. They came to visit, and they were all white, or spending all summer in their residency working. But that's also why they get like these enormous books. I have like one bookshelf is only OAE. They take too much space, and nobody can read everything. This is too much information. And then they have talks. It's like information. Like walking libraries. Walking library.
Okay. So nice.
Yeah.
It's a very VIP room now.
Yeah, what is it? The people are listening and looking, but they don't talk. Andres, Luna, and Adrian, Zoe.
Yeah.
Yes, there is other people here.
Yeah.
But invisible.
Maybe they are sleeping and they forgot to turn off.
Or fucking, I don't know.
Joaquín, you probably noticed.
Estamos aquí todo el rato, pero tenemos internet de mierda. Entonces si lo prendemos, if we, sorry, Cia, that was lovely. We really enjoyed your performance. That was great. And yeah, but sorry, you have really terrible internet. So if we put our camera on, then everything gets frozen and we can't hear you. But we are listening to you all the time, even in the after party.
I thought you're having another party, like another room, an extra room with just the guys who were like with no image.
No, yeah, maybe we're all having this other party and you don't know about it's the black party.
And the black party, the hidden party.
Making love with microphone and speakers and headphones.
Yeah. And Joaquim, I really like your story about the pythons in Delphi.
The python.
Your story about the pythons in Delphi. Yeah, the snakes. Yeah, that makes total sense for Delphi.
Yes, that's amazing. And actually, the thing that was the most astonishing was my ignorance about it. That was, why don't we know more about all this? You know, we have to dig something, but in the poetry world, and we know all kind of people in poetry, and especially the French. You know, Julien Blaine told me about pneuma like maybe 25 years ago, and I was like, what is this? I was young, and pneuma, And then this breath thing, spiritus thing, and poetry thing was completely new for me. But then nobody was into this mythology deeper. And I think it's our turn to, thanks to internet probably, it's our turn to dig way further into all this, and it starts to be really interesting. We want to do a kind of map with Martin for his next LP. The LP is called Protoverb. So it's like we are working on it for months. It's like fun, and I said we should do some kind of map of all the research we are both doing for many years, and it will be something put inside the vinyl. And I think we have to
Is
dig,
it like
because
a
those kind of
Neuma Snake record?
a snake record. What?
Neuma Snake.
I don't know.
Neuma
What do you
Naked.
Neuma Snake.
Or we can do a naked one.
Yeah.
Naked with a snake.
Naked.
Naked.
Yeah.
Naked is quite good.
Maybe you have to make one session naked all together, like like yeah.
But the snake is.
Come on, Felipe, we only see your shoulders. It doesn't matter.
You're training for so many years.
Mais c'est dans Joachim, c'est dans Homère le mythe de Apollon qui tue Python. Tu as pas
Oui,
lu,
mais
mais
entre yes, but between Python and Pity, I never made the link.
Okay.
And because we don't have traces, that's it. You know, the Greeks and the tales and Homer and everything, you know, Apollo is killing the snake, of course. Yeah. But then what was happening with those fucking snakes?
No, but after that, they call it Delphi.
And the snake worship was there, and why is the question? And why was there? And then if you start to bring the snakes and the snakes worship, then you bring Shiva and you bring Mama, whatever in Africa, and you bring Mesopotamia, and you bring the Caduceus, and you bring everything. And then everything is there again and again and again. And then, the Apollo thing was like, if you don't have those clues, you don't get it, actually. You can't really understand.
It's the victory of the rationality against the deep energy, because Apollon is the force of civilization, you know, and the snake is the son of Gaia on the earth, and the Python is come from the deep earth. And the Greek, for the Greek, when Apollon appears, it's he bring light, and it's the first idea of rationalism and Greek philosophy, and so it's like it's a
civilization,
big, it's a big war.
And also it's a history of animals, because after the Apollon take care of Python, they saw dolphins around the bay. That is why we call it Delphi, because when a snake disappears, dolphins appear, and dolphins like kind of dragons, you know, because it was dolphins with wings. You know, they can like fly a little bit over the ocean in a way. And
Martin, we always had that dream of going to do a reading in Delphi. We should do Languages of Iris in Delphi.
Yes.
Yes. I failed to make one last year with the Chilean embassy, but Chile they don't have money. But yeah, of course, I have there is no Delphi, but there's another how do you say, oracle open in Athens, that we can make something there like the next year. After we start to organize with Joachim the tour after COVID, and you know, after the COVID we will make like different languages of Iris together, in different places of the world. You know, like one in Delphi,
Post-COVID, Delphi oracles.
one in Pompeii,
Excelente.
another.
If it doesn't work, you can always go to Philadelphia. there is a fake oracle there that maybe you can
That's
consult.
great.
Someone in Bronx.
Martin, let's go there. We should do
You
some.
know, there is another oracle in Italia, in Cumes. There is another pity. It was a Sibyl.
Sibyl de Cumas.
Oui, and I was there when I was my first year when I was student, and I had totally syndrome of Stendhal in this place. I remember it was very, very strong. Cumes.
Cumas. In Italian, it's Cumas.
Cumas, yeah, that's right.
Cumas, very near Napoli. It's a so strong place, very simple and not a very touristic place. You don't see a lot of things. There is on dit une grotte, a cave, and it was a cave of the Sibyl before, long time ago.
Yeah, it was beautiful because it was the woman who has the power of feeling the vibration of the earth, you know, the telluric vibration, and they pronounced the sentence about it, and then that all of Delphis was that the tree snakes, the Pythoness was sitting over the tree snakes, and she started to make some sounds, and all the priests translate the vibration sounds into language. Yeah. At the beginning, it was some poetry, no.
But they smoke some plants.
Some snakes. Yeah, I don't know. They were in trance in a way.
Yeah. Yeah, we can make.
That's what we did when we went to Delphi, because you know in Delphi in the oracle there are 3 stones, and then 2 of them have some writing on them, but the 3rd stone it only has the letter E. So we decided to go to the oracle with an E, and then we had a big illumination. So it was a writing at the entrance of the oracle. They said that it was this like a holy water. So then because we had this E experience, we looked at everywhere for the water, and then we found it, and we went on our knees and drank the water, but it was actually the desagüe. How do you call it?
Oh, the gutter?
Sewer. It was the sewer.
It was sewer water.
Happy that we drank it. It was disgusting. But anyway, it was very nice. We had a great interpretation.
Because in the Delphi's oracle, you have like 3 doors. The first one is like know yourself, you know, like connect from them. The second one was nothing more, like rien de trop.
Yeah.
And the third one was at E. And there is a beautiful work of that is the name of Plutarchus. I think he wrote about the E of Delphi, and because he was a priest of Delphi, and that E was really completely and before to be faced to that E, they have to sleep enveloped in a kind of I don't know, skin of an animal, and to become like a snake or a dolphin in a way, and to interpret that E and to receive the message. Yeah, we have to do it, absolutely. That is the next.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You go there, Martin, in Delphi?
Huh?
You already go there?
No, but I have a project that it failed last year to make a performance there.
Yeah.
But I have another, and Delphi is difficult to have it because you need permission of the UNESCO. But there is another oracles in Greece that they are open, and the kind of caves you can come in. One of in Dendera is really no, it's Dendera. Dendera is in Egypt, but it's another one you can come inside and really like pass one night And then,
We have to ask to Demosthenes.
yeah, of course. Yeah, let's organize it.
Okay, I'm going to organize Delphi because actually it's UNESCO, but it's possible.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Okay.
I think it's easier to organize that than a war in Iran. You know, so like
exactly.
I think that, but that's it. Was we have like poets be like at a level of like be more interesting that the people who make words in the world. You know, like I want to make a war in Iran. No, we make a a contest in I don't know in Delphi. We talked with Zoe the other day about it. You know, like what is the in the ancient times, the poets were a really like political position in order to bring peace to some impossible question in the world. You know, and I think like how we can organize some symbolical transformation of things of language in that oracles all around the world the next year or all 1 year. Hortense, you will commence next year. Well, do you know you will be the Sibilla of Cumas?
Yeah.
The Cuma. Close your eyes and say the first words of the poem.
Si. The word could come in my head.
Luna, you?
Si. You say the third.
It's like Cia Rinne.
Yeah, like Cia Rinne.
Cia Rinne, can you close your eyes and feel the pity inside of you and say something?
I only feel pity, just that.
I only feel Python.
Only see dolphins.
Okay, guys, I have to leave now. I got to make dinner, so it was wonderful to see you. Thank you so much, Cia. It was lovely.
Thank you.
And thank you all. Take care. All right.
Dinner, Carlo, abrazo.
Be safe. Bye bye. Ciao, Lunita.
Prepare us the chemical combination for the after COVID, please.
I'll look into it. the cocktail.
Because
right.
Carlos worked like a chemist in reality life.
I actually worked for the COVID trial, the Pfizer trial,
really?
but yeah.
Are you really? Any good?
I can't say anything though. You have to kill me first. No. No, it was a brief. It wasn't even a collaboration. I was just reviewing documents. I didn't do anything like with the study itself. But I got to say I participated.
Of course.
I read a wonderful joke. It said, yeah, but when you say the name of the who created the vaccine is like Pfizer, you contaminate 15 people like Pfizer.
Right. Okay, take care. Be safe. Bye-bye.
Ciao, Chico. Buenas noches.
Good night.
Anyway, I think it's late.
Yeah, I have to leave.
But we can go on for hours.
Yeah. I also have to leave, but I can keep it going.
Sorry.
No, I just have to have dinner. And also have to see the Crown with my wife, which is our most interesting panorama for these days. We're really enjoying the story of Lady Di and Prince Charles. No, in the third world, we appreciate in the third world we appreciate kings and princes more than you in Europe. So You don't know what you have.
Oh.
No, we were remembering with
And me, I
Marcela.
was quite sick just at the beginning, and now I'm feeling very better. So thank you.
That's good.
Thank you, poetry. Thank you, Cia.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. Lovely meeting all of you.
That is for the
Yeah.
third year of Languages of Virus, we create a commando of killing poets.
Self-elimination.
Yeah, we will go to heal the solar system first. Then we have the communication with the Voyager, you know, the spaceship, les voyageurs, tu vois, les sondes qui voyagent à travers la galaxie.
Oui. Voyager.
Ouais, les voyageurs, tu vois, les sondes de voyageurs. Ouais, voilà. Et on peut les envoyer certains sons, tu vois. Je connais dans quelle fréquence ils communiquent.
Ok.
C'est une fréquence très précise. Et on pourrait organiser, après l'oracle de Delphes, l'autre science, c'est voyageur, quoi.
Ok.
Ouais, mais là, il faut être préparé, tu vois. Ok, on va pas leur dire salut, mangez un burger, quoi. On va faire quand même. Qu'est-ce que tu dirais à... Ça s'appelle la héliosphère, en fait. C'est la partie où le soleil, enfin le rayon de soleil, s'anéantisse en face des autres soleils.
Ok.
Tu dirais quoi, en fait, là?
Je dirais quoi?
Ouais.
Je dirais... Je sais pas. Je dirais...
Of course. Ah, non.
Non, je dirais... Je dirais comme étant donné soleil.
Ah, c'est Joaquin qui m'a montré étant donné.
Ouais, je dirais ça. Je dirais soleil.
I think I'm gonna leave you for tonight, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Lovely.
So,
It was nice to speak a little bit.
yes.
Yeah.
I hope we see someday. Probably in Berlin.
Or in Paris, yeah.
If we tour and do this thing.
Yeah. And in Paris, maybe the next year I will have a place, de Folie Numérique, pour faire un festival qui s'appelle Festinalent. Je fais à l'arrache depuis plusieurs années. Mais là, peut-être on aura un truc plus sympa et tu pourrais venir quand tu veux. En plus, c'est en face de chez Joachim House.
Oui, tu penses là, la folie numérique. Oui.
Ouais. Ça, il me propose de faire...
Tu veux faire ton festival ici?
Bah, ils m'ont proposé de faire ça chez eux l'année prochaine, tu vois, toute l'année. Une fois par mois. Hein. Donc, c'est en face de chez toi.
Formidable.
Pas mal, tu vois. On est loin. On est loin. On est très, très loin. Il faut traverser le canal en nageant comme ça avec les haut-parleurs sur le dos. No, we will make wonderful things here. And thank you for your presence tonight.
Well, I think
maybe, and I talked with Felipe, maybe we can edit that conversation like backwards, like start with the end, that kind of conversation really.
Yes, we start with the oracle and speaking in tongues, and then we continue.
Yeah, and like how in videos we have some little problems. Maybe in the videos at the end we can put it like correctly at the end, you know. Okay.
You know, when Riz was in Berlin, we were talking about this. What you said about pizza when you're pronouncing, and the most vicious thing you can do is actually sound poetry or singing. So what you should do is like inhale while you're speaking. This is the new way of speaking. You're inhaling. This is the COVID way of pronouncing. Yeah. So you're breathing in while speaking, and then you breathe out when you're silent.
Yeah, I think that it's beautiful that you say, because I read some receipt of Pitics speaking. You know, the like shaman people speaking things, and they speaking like aspiring, like like receiving and speaking like circular shuffling. When you play saxophone, you make circular breathing, and like that you at the same time you're saying and you're inspiring things.
Yeah, I think you get into a certain sort of state, a strange state when you.
And I think that is why I think the woman, they're more close to that kind of experience than men in a way. They're more like the kind of inner experience. They're more close for the woman experience than for men. It was not new by Pythagorean people, because the woman have 10 holes, and we have only 9 holes in the body. You have 1 hole more than us. Then that creates another kind of inner perception. Of course, they have more communication with the exterior side than men in a way.
This is totally new information.
Never. Thank you, Martin, to
discovery.
You're more open. This is really nice. This is the explanation. More holes in the body.
You have one hole more than that, and that changed everything.
Oh gosh, I'm not so sure, but this is interesting.
Of course, because you have like a more connection with the exterior and interior experience, inner experience. It's different for us.
Spirit that can enter through the hole.
No. Spirit and body and soul and flesh is like other things.
Yes.
That the troubadour poet they knew really well, and that like Lacan, the psychoanalyst, he took that from troubadour poets. He took that you have different kind of joy. You have the phallic joy, the joy sense, the jouissance. Jouir du sens, et aussi ça s'appelle la jouissance de l'autre, like other jouissance, like that the troubadours call it that joya. It's a kind of experience where you are completely in all the universe. You are in the communion total with all the system. There is no difference between the object and the subject. And they say,
men can open les hommes aussi, ils peuvent trouver leur
ça se coupe un peu.
ouverture.
Oui, non, mais il dit.
J'ai dit les.
Tu dis que si les hommes peuvent arriver à ça?
Oui, peut-être que les hommes aussi, ils ont du féminin entre eux, ils peuvent trouver leur 9e trou.
C'est le 10e trou.
C'est le titre d'un livre, le 9e trou.
C'est le 10e trou. Les femmes sont...
Le 9e trou.
You can do one.
With a big performance. The last performance of Joaquin Moctezuma. With the microphone in the head, like.
With the mic, exactly. I did a lot with this prank.
Oh, did you? We did that too to Momi. He has a piece, his head is audible, where you're like pushing it, like listening to the microphone, like doing certain things with the microphone. Totally mad.
Okay, I'm going to bed.
Non, mais c'est ça qu'il disait, tu vois, aussi Lacan, dans son truc le plus intéressant sur la joie, c'est que il disait, en fait, les femmes, ils ont accès à ça, et les hommes, ils peuvent à travers 3 choses. La science, le mysticisme et l'art, la poésie, en fait. Et dans ces moments-là, tu arrives à une espèce de communion totale sur les trucs. Mais pour la femme, c'est un truc un peu presque naturel, en fait.
Mais complètement naturel.
Tu essentialises un petit peu.
Bah oui, j'idéalise la femme, hein, oui, ça c'est clair.
Tu essentialises un peu.
Ah, essentialise. Je sais pas, essentialise, mais...
Une essence biologique féminine. Et...
Non, mais je parle des trous, en fait. Je parle d'un truc très... Tu vois, que c'est très partie du corps, quoi. C'est la pulsion.
Oui.
La
Ben,
pulsion, ça vient des trous, en fait, des trous de ton corps. C'est pas métaphysique, ça existe, c'est physique.
oui, oui, mais tu as des expériences variées de ton corps, tu vois. Tu es pas,
Ouais. Oui, mais c'est comme si tu dois intégrer une autre dimension, tu vois. Quand tu as un orifice de ton corps, parce que là, on a 2 yeux, 2 narines, 2 oreilles, tu vois, là, un anus, un phallus, un truc. On a des trous. Et chaque trou communique dès lors de tu vois, l'introjection et la éjection. Et là, il y a une espèce d'entre plaisir et il y a une sensation qui est très particulière qui marque ton esprit. Et tu vois,
Oui, mais ces expériences liées à la biologie de ton corps, elles sont aussi tellement liées à la culture, tu vois. À la culture.
pas seulement. Pas seulement. Ça, oui, c'est interprété par la culture.
Voilà, c'est.
Mais si tu le fais simplement comme poète sonore, tu mets, par exemple, un micro dans chaque trou de ton corps. Carrément, tu vois. Et là, tu vas voir un son différent que tu ne pourras pas faire avec des filtres, tu vois. Ça vient de là.
Ouais.
Et ça, tu ne peux pas t'extirper. Donc, il y a une dimension, et j'ai l'impression que chaque trou crée une dimension supplémentaire. Et je ne sais pas si je suis un peu trop idéaliste par rapport à la femme, mais j'ai l'impression que la femme, il a cette expérience qui, pour nous, les hommes, elle est plutôt de l'ordre idéal, tu vois. C'est par l'art qu'on peut arriver. Bah, je ne sais pas, il y a les orgasmes féminins. Les orgasmes féminins sont beaucoup plus puissants que les orgasmes masculins. Bah, ça dépend des femmes, mais en moi, c'est pas, on fait une enquête avec Joachim, là. Dans les
Non, moi je suis pas d'accord. Je suis pas d'accord. C'est pas la guerre des sexes.
Non, mais
Tout
c'est
le
pas la
monde.
guerre, mais c'est juste comment te dire, arriver à cet état. Moi enfin, je sais pas, j'étais face à des femmes qui ont des orgasmes, multi-orgasmes, qui durent dans le temps et dans
Oui,
l'intensité. Tu vois que tu arrives à un truc mystique. C'est plus de l'ordre que de la chair, c'est autre chose. Enfin, je sais pas, c'est un truc difficile à arriver qui est par des moyens intellectuels. Tu peux pas. Et dans les poèmes, c'est ça qui est intéressant. Dans les poèmes, tu peux pas arriver à cette expérience juste pour dire, moi là, je veux dire ça, tu vois. Tu peux pas arriver juste par la métaphore. Tu arrives par une expérience du corps. C'est ça qui est fort chez Henri Chopin, chez Artaud, je sais pas quoi. Tu vois, il y a une expérience du corps. Qu'est-ce que tu penses, Cia, de ça? Tu souris, hein?
Oui, je suis très fascinée. Ça s'appelle le truisme, non? Bon, c'est intéressant. Moi, j'aime bien de faire des théories complètement fous à partir du langage, mais ça, c'est autre chose.
Ouais, mais le langage corps, quoi. En fait, tu vois, je sais pas, moi ce que j'ai récupéré d'Artaud, par exemple, de ces gens-là, c'est justement ces langages corps, quoi. C'est ces trucs que la langue, c'est un moment matériel. J'ai travaillé beaucoup aussi avec des schizophrènes, des gens qui sont vraiment dans les rapports au langage qui est très réel. Et quand ils disent oiseau, ils sentent un oiseau qui sort de leur bouche, quoi. C'est pas une métaphore. C'est pas l'oiseau il est beau. Non, l'oiseau il dit tu vois. Et c'est ça qui moi je trouve que dans la poésie sonore, ça fait la différence, tu vois, par rapport à la poésie plus sémantique, que tu as cette expérience, ce 10e trou du corps qui à moi, au moins, ça me rend fou, enfin, ça me rend heureux et puis ça me rend mystique, quoi.
C'est fascinant.
Tu l'as dit, ça te rend fou.